And the judge is starting to hear from the prosecution about another incident that could allegedly be witness intimidation. And he's talking about, what you're going to hear is details from the night before, when we were out broadcasting on the street right across from the waterfall, right down the street from McCarthy's.
Right.
The friend you're going to hear the prosecutor reference is a guy I now know, having been there, who stopped as we were wrapping up, and we chatted for a bit. And he said, "Oh, I'm going to have dinner with Aidan down at McCarthy's." I said, "Oh, great, and have a fun time." Okay, so that's the backstory for what was about to happen.
I can just take a moment. This morning I was informed that there was a incident last night. Apparently the defendant and a friend were at CF McCarthy's, which is a bar in Canton. It's next door to D&E Pizza, which is owned by one of the witnesses in this case, and his son, who is also a witness in this case, and I should say they're witnesses in the Karen Reed case, works there, and they are both victims listed within the indictments that are before your honor. At the end of the evening, the son closed up at D&E Pizza and went home. There is a video camera, possibly more than one, but one in particular, in the window of D&E Pizza. And what it recorded was that Mr. Kearney left CF McCarthy's next door, and in the company of a friend, or shortly joined by a friend, walked up, either noticed or had previously noticed the video camera, and walked up to the window quite close, pressed his face up against the window almost, and then stepped back for a moment or two. Spent a couple of minutes just staring there, and then went into a 2-minute diatribe, saying hello to the witness. What have you done? I wish he was alive today. Why did you do that, Chris? He's talking to Chris Albert, the witness. I just want to know. Then he goes on to say, and I have to paraphrase from here, Your Honor, because I didn't get it all down in the brief time that I viewed it. But I know you didn't do it. Colin did it. And then he goes on essentially to ask why he is covering up for his son, assures him that he's not trying to frighten him. He just wants to know. Just wants to know. Now, at that point, he walked and went away, leaving Mr. Albert to find that the next morning when he reviewed his video. Now, we can talk about how many legal angels dance on the head of a pin here, Your Honor. I think I could do Mr. Bradle's argument for him. It's just speech. Nothing's meant by it. It's protected. I doubt I've saved him the trouble, but I've tried. At this point, I don't think it's an issue whether technically it meets the standards of intimidating a witness. I think certainly the attempt, at least in the colloquial sense, was to harass and intimidate. And we always talk about these in isolation, Your Honor, but there is a drumbeat every week of verbal attack after verbal attack on the witnesses and the officers in this case. So at this point, I am going to ask the court to set bail on Mr. Kearney. He's been released on his personal recognizance. And I am also going to ask the court to set conditions. And those conditions will be no contact, direct or indirect, or through third parties. And I mean no contact in the broadest possible way with any of the witnesses or officers testified for the Commonwealth in the Reed case, or any of the alleged victims in this case. And I am going to ask that Mr. Kearney, as a condition of his release, be prohibited from approaching anywhere within 100 yards of a victim's residence or within 100 yards of a victim's place of work.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Judge. Judge, this is not how incursions of someone's liberty are done in Superior Court or in any court that I know of in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. I don't have a shred of paper. I don't have a shred of documentation. I don't have anything on this issue.
You want to continue? I'll give you one.
Yes,
I mean, you
certainly.
gotta look at it.
Yes,
You
absolutely.
want to come back tomorrow?
I don't think I can come back tomorrow, Your Honor. But, you know, the government needs to, the government should be sent out to go get their ducks in a row. No pun intended. And
Maybe we
Then
could
if
borrow
they have-
Mr. Kearney's.
if they have an issue, then they should come back for it. But you don't say, hey, I heard this thing happened and
Why
I
don't
want
I do
to.
this? Why don't I do this? I'll give you 24 hours, Mr. Bradley. You absolutely have a right to review the video and you have a right to see any reports that were written. I'll see you both back here at 2 o'clock tomorrow. Does that work, Martin?
I was going to suggest noon.
How about noon tomorrow? Does that work for the both of you?
That's fine, Your Honor, and I don't mean to prolong this unduly, but I just want to say, I became aware of this incident that happened last night at 10 o'clock this morning.
That's fine. Okay.
So,
And that's great, but the government should do some investigation
Yeah, that's
and,
fine.
you know, give
Hold
me a
on.
chance to say
Yeah,
something.
we'll address it tomorrow at noon. In the meantime, Mr. Kearney, just stand up, stay away from that pizza place, okay? What was the name of it?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, it's D&E Pizza.
Okay, just stay away from that, and then we'll address it tomorrow, okay? All right.
So matters continued to March.
All right. So
So wait a second. If somebody went with him, and we're going to hear that person, right? Because you did it near you.
no, we're not going to hear that person, but I can tell you a little more about what that person did that night.
Yeah. But if you say, I know you didn't do it, it seems to me that at the most that could possibly be a civil harassment, that could possibly be defamation, but I don't see how it's intimidation in the legal sense. I mean, I'm at a loss here.
Yep.
Wow,
So,
yeah.
and there's, let me read you a little more about what was said into the camera that night. And again, I spoke to the friend after the fact,
Right.
and he described the actions that took place. They're both leaving together, McCarthy's, and I would guess that there had been some alcohol consumed. I'm not 100% sure, but it sounded like the friend was sort of arm in arm with Turtleboy and was sort of supporting him right there with him when he was performing for this camera. So that's the picture that I was given. And here's what he said. This is a more complete quote. "Hi, Chris. What have you done? Murdered. Misses you." Now, again, it sounds like some slurring of the words. It's a little sketchy. "Wishes he was alive today. He would be. Why did you do that, Chris? Chris, why did you tell the jury that you got home? Why did you say you went upstairs and then waited 15 minutes? Then Colin came home. Colin didn't make it home until at least 12:45, Chris. It was Colin, Chris. I just want to know. I just want to know why Colin took so long to get to your house. Why, Chris? Please tell me why. Colin did it. You can tell me. You can tell me, Chris. I know you didn't do it. I don't want to scare you." So that was,
That doesn't sound like anything form of intimidation.
no, it just sounds like guys pissed off and accusing somebody of something, but okay. If he had said in here something like, if you don't testify truthfully, I'm going to burn down your pizza place. At least you're getting something. At least that's close, right?
Right, yeah.
So anyway, so let's follow up with what
Go ahead.
happened today, because they went back to court today, and that last count, which would now be count number 17, is still somewhat in limbo. The judge did not dismiss it out of hand because it hadn't been properly brought. So it still exists in some form, and it's still going to have to be addressed. But it wasn't dismissed, and there's been no ruling from our most recent check on those original 16 counts. Some of them, we heard how flimsy they sound, but at this point, those have not been dismissed either by the court. So,
And it sounds like the Commonwealth really wanted to bring this, not because of the witnesses, but because they want to get his cell phone. But
well, that's certainly, I think that might be a benefit. I really think they're after him, period.
No,
And
they're
maybe
after
getting
him,
cell
right.
phones, that's a nice extra benefit.